Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Megan Rose. I'm the director of the Center for Women, a project of the National Council of Jewish Women Pittsburgh section. This afternoon, I'm so excited to welcome you to our session with Jessica Perrone. Jessica is the founder of Her Financial IQ. She's a 16-year Wall Street veteran and a Pittsburgh native. She's currently developing an innovative curriculum to empower women and teens through investing education. So you are here, you are a student this afternoon, and we're so excited to learn from you, Jessica, and want to encourage folks to join us for future Center for Women and National Council of Jewish Women programming. I'll drop that link in the chat, and Jessica, take it away.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. I am Jessica Perrone. Thank you so much for the introduction, Megan. I am so glad to have this workshop with you today. So I'm the founder of Her Financial IQ, and let me just change the slide here. That's me, So I left finance about 3 years ago to be a stay-at-home mom. And at that point in time, I was trading and I was investing. And what I was actually looking for was like a book club for women to talk about investing and trading. But then I realized there wasn't one. So I said, okay, I'm going to teach women how to trade. And then I started telling women, I'm going to teach you how to trade. And so many women were like, oh, no, I can't do that. That's too scary. And then I'm like, okay, I'll teach about investing. No, too scary, too scary. So what I realized is that there's just a fundamental barrier that women put up when it comes to money or even investing. So what I decided to do was put together this curriculum that in a really fun and down to earth and easy to understand program, women can learn the language of investing. And whether it's you watch my weekly show, whether it is you attend my classes, or whether you just have a little bit more confidence to talk to a financial advisor, I'm happy, because I want to empower you with the language so you feel confident to talk about investing. So what was interesting was that I had that feeling, the feeling that all these women were putting up the barriers, right? But it wasn't until we did the Savvy, right, panel a few weeks ago that I found a statistic that backed that gut feeling. And that is from a recent UBS study. And no, this is not from 20 years ago. No, it is actually from 2021, okay? And the study found that 49% of women still in 2021 let their husbands take the lead when it comes to investing.
That is such a breathtaking statistic.
Is that
I just
crazy?
have to say, but you know what? Before I made the transition to nonprofit work, Jessica, and I can't remember if I told you this, I practiced family law, and I saw that a lot,
Yes.
When folks I would say, well, not even investing, but like, what is your household income? Folks
Yes.
would say,
Yes.
the women would say, I'm not sure,
What's the username and password to the investment accounts? What's the username and password to the savings account? Where are all our accounts? Like, these are like just basic questions that are important to know when you're living with someone, when you're cohabitating with someone. It should be a partnership, and that includes finances. It does. Now, may I go off on a tangent really quickly, Megan? Okay, has anyone seen this Good Girls show? Has anyone seen it? Okay, so it is like a Netflix show. I think it's Netflix. I saw one episode. I was addicted, but I don't watch a lot of TV, so I need to like sit down. I don't sit down really well, if you can imagine. But so in this show, there's one character, and it's basically about 3 women who find themselves in financial difficulties and then rob a grocery store, and it's like all the bad things that happened to them from there. But it tells the stories of how they ended up in those financial difficulties. And one of the characters was an affluent woman in a beautiful house with a husband, and they had beautiful kids, and he owned a car dealership, right? Well, it turns out he was having an affair behind her back, and she didn't know that all the money was gone. 3 mortgages on their house later, going to foreclose on the house until her credit card was declined when she was having a massage. And then she went and investigated. All their money was gone. Yes. And she was so devastated. They were in such a rough place that she had to turn to crime. So that's exactly another reason. I mean, that's like TV, right? But when I saw that, I was
but
like,
you can't, right? I mean,
you have to
abdicating
know.
your-
You have to know what's going on with the finances in the household. You just
Exactly.
got to know.
Right.
Okay. But this is not why people were here. People were here for the first questions of investing. Now that I've completely scared you guys into, oh my God, I need to know what's going on with the finances. We're going to have fun. I didn't mean to scare anyone, but I saw this show and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to tell people about the show because it's exactly one of the reasons why I'm like, you need to know, you just need to know where all the finances are. Okay. So moving forward, is the first question I get all the time is, I'd like to invest. What should I be thinking about first? Does anyone have any guesses? What should I be thinking about first? Anyone, any guesses? And if you don't have any guesses, that's fine. But yeah, Kate, I love interaction.
Okay, so this is more like what you're doing. Like you first want to establish sort of 6 months of savings, right? So you have a cushion.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so, and that's interesting that you say that, because that's actually, I have a class, it's called Before Investing. And in this class, one of those things we talk about is your emergency fund. And what people will find is that they think, okay, I'm going to start investing right away. But they're not thinking about their credit card bills, the interest on those are crazy. And they're not thinking about their emergency funds, because you need those emergency funds. And because of COVID, we saw that anything could happen. We can't see everything in the future that's going to happen, but it could be even something like, something happened to my car. How am I going to get to work? Like, you need to have that emergency fund to pay for those things so you don't find yourself in trouble. So that is an absolute correct answer, but it's not the answers I was looking for here. So let's go down here really first. We're gonna go to the next slide here. And if people have questions, people were contributing in the chat here too.
That's me.
I love that. I love that. I wasn't even thinking about that.
Debt part of it? Is debt part of it? Like, am I ready to invest? Is there a readiness factor here?
Absolutely. And like credit cards. Yes, like credit cards. So I like to create analogies. Like in my weekly show, what I'll do is I will take different things that are going on in our lives, or things I'm observing in my everyday life. And I bring the investing aspect into it. So when I was putting together my responses to these questions, I really wanted to create something that was super understandable. And everyone knows road trips, right? Everyone goes on road trips, right? So planning for investing is like planning for a road trip. Yes, it is. Okay. So stay with me. You'll see where I'm going with this one. You'll see. Okay. So the first one is your budget. How much can you spend on your trip? Right? So before you can go on a trip, you kind of have to be like, okay, I can afford this much, right? So if you can only afford, a day trip, an hour away by car, then, that's all you can afford. But if you can afford, a trip to the shore and a hotel and whatnot, that's going to change, the type of trip that you're going to have. Okay. So budget, your budget is number one part of a road trip. The next part of a road trip that we think about is the duration, right? How long can that trip last, right? So for example, if you have, it's President's Day weekend, you only have Monday off, well, your duration is 4 days, right? But if you're a teacher and you have all of summer off, well, then maybe you have a little bit of a longer road trip plan, right? Your duration is longer. So that's something that you bring into consideration when you're considering these road trips. Okay. And then the last part is the destination, right? So based on this budget that you've created and based on how long you have, that is really where the destination is, where you can go on your road trip. Okay, that makes sense, right? Those are like the three big things for planning for a road trip, right? Well, that's very similar when you're thinking about investing. Okay, so let's see. You'll see where my logic is going. You'll see that. And I'm sure you guys are thinking, thanks for the trip planning advice, Jessica, but what does this have to do with my investing journey? Yes, I'm going to show you right now. I swear, I'm going to show you. Okay, so the first part is you're going to think about your budget. So on a monthly basis, how much can you put aside without compromising your budget, right? How much can you put aside without compromising your budget? Now, what Kate and Megan were talking about, right, is kind of part of that budget part. You know, if you kind of like saying, okay, these are the things I have to pay off. I have to pay off my credit card bills. That is like a priority. I have to pay for food. I have to pay for housing. I have all these outputs on my budget. So realistically, how much can I put aside without compromising my budget? So that's the first thing that you really should be thinking about. Okay. And again, if you guys have questions or comments along the way, feel free to interject. I love questions. I love interaction. I would love to hear from you. And especially Terry and Charmaine, I can't see your faces. So you're going to have to be a little bit more verbal right here. So, because I can't see if you're going, Jasmine, what is that?
You can use the reactions for that, like yes, or
for sure.
Right.
No. So please feel free to put it in the chat there. Okay, so moving on, duration. Now, this is really a big aspect of investing, and people don't realize how important it is. It's duration. How soon will you need access to that money? How soon will you need access to money? And what do you think I mean by that? Anybody? Ideas on it? Yes, Kate.
Okay, so I'm going to take a stab at this again. So like if you're investing for retirement and you are earlier in your career, you don't need it for a long time and you have no plans. Ideally, you won't touch it until you access it for retirement. If it's, say, your emergency fund that you're investing, I might have frozen here. Did I freeze? No. Okay. If it's your emergency fund, you might need to access that at any time.
I love that. I love it. And you get a gold star, Kate, and like a love heart because you totally got that. I love it. So this is, and this is why, okay? So the markets are risky, right? The markets are risky. And there are certain asset classes and certain types of accounts that are more risky than others, okay? And typically, the more risky the account, the higher the yield. And what does that mean? That means the more the account goes up and down, up and down, up and down, right? The more return you get on your investment. The money back, the money it pays you back for investing in it is usually higher. So if you think about it, on the very, very lowest, safest part of the totem pole, like I'm off camera here, like there, the lowest, right? Where am I? There. The lowest part on the totem pole is things such as traditional savings accounts, high yield savings accounts, CDs, and then so those types of savings accounts are basically, right, safe. The money you put into them is the money you get out of them, right? There is no change in that balance, except for there is a little bit of addition to that balance for interest, right? So usually the lowest return, the lowest yield on those savings accounts are the traditional, the brick and mortar banks. You know, I hate to say this, but if you can put them in a high yield or a CD, I would definitely investigate it. And Bankrate is an amazing resource for that. Actually, I'm going to put it right here in the chat. It's bankrate.com. Rate.com. And what it does is it shows you the yield for all the high interest savings accounts. So you can actually see the yield in real time. So it's a really great resource. So if you're looking to get more of a return on a super duper safe account, definitely check out the different types of savings accounts there. So Kate, you brought up a couple things. You brought up savings account, right? And retirement account. I mean, emergency account and retirement account.
Yeah.
Which one do you think you want to put in a high yield savings account? Which one do you think and why?
Okay, I would say that you want to put your retirement in high yield because over the long term, which if you start investing early in your career, it will gain more over time, and especially with the compounding interest. That's my guess.
Okay, close, but actually you want to put your retirement, right? If you don't need it for like 10, 20 years, you want to put that in an investment account. You want to put that in an investment account. If it's your emergency fund and at some random point in time, you're going to need access to it, then you want to have that in your high yield savings account because the balance will always be the same. It will never be lower. And what you found in COVID, right? The market sold off, right? People had quarantine and they needed access to those funds, but the markets were sold off. So if they took out the money out of that, investment vehicle, they actually lost money by taking money out. But if it was in a high yield savings account, right, that balance would have been the same and they could have taken it out. So what you really want to do is keep your emergency funds in a high yield savings account. That's because it is not going to decrease in price. You want to have it in a safer vehicle. Okay. So any of those types of savings accounts, whether it's a CD, whether it's a high yield savings account, you could do the traditional, like your brick and mortar. I would not recommend that because if you look at the statement, it's like 0.03%. I mean, it's crazy. It is crazy. Megan, am I doing a good job? I mean, I know it's not straightforward, but am I doing?
It's not. No, you are. I'm just saying, it's
Okay.
easy to get it mixed up. Like,
Yeah. And there's also, okay, so now to even confuse things further, and I really reinforce all of these messages in my weekly show, my weekly Facebook show too. So the more that you tune in and watch, the more it'll just kind of and be embedded in your head, and the more that you'll understand that. And the show is Thursdays at 10 a.m. On Facebook, on my HERF and IQ Facebook page. But to complicate things, Kate, there are different type of vehicles that you can put your investments in, and those in themselves go from risky to safer. Right? So within that, you have the different types as well. So you're absolutely right, Megan. There is a lot to think about when you're thinking about this, but that's why it's so important, that first step, right? We're talking about what to think about before you even start investing. And part number 2 is duration. And look, how long did we just talk about duration? 15 minutes, right? Bonds, funds, individual stocks. Yes, all of those are different type of asset that you can invest in. And we actually talk about these in our investing classes about the riskiness of the different types of asset classes. And we also talk about your personal, how much risk aversion you can take on. And that is just a feeling too. That is just a feeling. And it's funny because, and I'm getting sidetracked again here, I actually do a show of hands, like in my classes. And I say, okay, if the market went down 1%, right? Could you handle that? How are you feeling? Let's do an internal temperature test. The market went down 1%. How are you feeling? Market goes down 5%. How are you feeling? Right? If the market goes down 20%, how are you feeling? You're seeing those negatives going down, right? You're seeing the balance of your account going down. You're going, oh, excuse me, I don't mean to oh, beep, what the heck's going on here? But that's not how you're supposed to be feeling. You're supposed to be like, but that's really just a personal preference. And that's why, the robo-advisors, the financial advisors, they actually have you take a questionnaire. They have you take a questionnaire, and that questionnaire is intended to take your risk assessment. That's your risk assessment, how comfortable you are with risk. And basically they're asking a lot of these questions, you know, how much money can you commit to investing? And how long before you need these funds? These are all things that really are part of the assessment, even the financial advisors take. So it's really good to think about them even before you start your investing journey. Okay, I'm going to move on here. Any questions on duration? Okay, good. But either I was really bad at explaining it and you guys are like out in space, or I did a really good job explaining it and there's just no questions.
I just wanted to say very quickly that you kind of talk like me, so I'm following along absolutely 100% because I never talk in a straight line. I mean, and I don't mean that to be disrespectful. I mean, when you liken something to a story, you know, I completely understand. So I just want to say you're doing a fantastic job and I am following along.
Thank you.
It's awesome. I'm so glad to hear that.
Yeah, I was worried that I wouldn't be able to because this is my first time dipping any kind of toe into investing. So I was very nervous joining, but yes, I'm following along well.
Exactly. And that's what I found when I started talking to women about investing. Just what you said, there's anxiety. There's like internalized anxiety. I can't do this. I'm scared. I'm scared. I'm scared. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make it fun and approachable and enthusiastic because, you know, and Savvy also put this up, Megan, the manification, right? Men have made investing so complicated. And even when I started out, I was like, everyone that was teaching me was men, right? And I'm like, and they're all talking down to me, like, sweetheart, that's not a good idea, and blah, blah, blah,
yeah.
blah, 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 you know?
It's
and
so
exactly.
exclusive.
Yeah. And so that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make this approachable and fun because it's not hard. There are certain concepts that are easy to understand if someone takes the time and makes it approachable. And I'm a woman, I'm a mom, just like you guys, you know, so I can speak your language. And I'm not trying to impress you and take your money. No, my goal here is simply to educate. So I'm so happy, Terry, that you are getting it and you are having fun. I love that. Thank you so much, Terry. Okay, so moving on, because I actually have a lot of fun stuff here. Okay, so figuring out your duration will help determine what type of account and or asset class you want to invest in. So I already talked through that slide. Any more questions on this one? Good. Okay. So Megan, you get a gold star because you guessed the debt part. And
I remember it from your panel contributions.
Yes,
So I only learned it last month. So
well, I'm so glad that it stayed with you. And I hope it stays with everyone else too. And that's I have credit card debt. Can I still invest? What do you guys think? I have credit card debt. Can I still invest? Show of hands. Or Terry, if you want to just, I saw you unmute your microphone.
I was going to say yes, but that seems very like, I of course have credit cards and that I say yes, but I'm also thinking, how is that possible? So yes is my answer.
Okay. So there is two trains of thought here. Okay, so I'm going to go with the first one and then I'm going to come to the second one. Okay, because again, there's no exact right answer, but you know, there is good advice. So I'm going to give you what I think is good advice. So credit card debt. When was the last time you guys looked at your credit card statement to see your interest rates? Anyone? Okay, so your interest rate is actually tied to your credit score. 22%, shut the up. I hope you are paying that off every single month. Good girl.
I think mine's around 17%. Yeah, and I pay it off, but it's
good girl.
brutal.
Good girl. I don't mean to. Yes. Okay. And that is good. And you know why? When you pay off your credit card every single month, there's two benefits. One, it is reported to the credit agency and your credit score goes up, which as a whole helps you save money in interest rates across the board, whether it's auto loans, whether it's mortgages, whether it's other credit cards, you name it. Anything that has to do with financing, you will get better rates if you have a better credit score. So, but if you have a interest rate of 17%, okay, and or a 22% interest rate, right? And you don't pay that off. Okay, this is not Megan and Kate. This is someone else that's like, oh, I'm just going to pay the minimum. But what's happening with that is that the interest is building up. And it's building up. Yes, Kate. And it is becoming its own beast that you cannot tame. It's getting out of hand. So in the markets, and let me go to my next one. And I don't know, how many of you guys have heard of Warren Buffett? Okay, Kate, you've heard of Warren Buffett. Megan, you've heard. Terry, have you heard of Warren Buffett?
Yes.
Okay, so Warren Buffett has great quotes, great investing quotes. And it was interesting because after I created my how to trade curriculum, I actually went in and revisited Warren Buffett. And it was funny because a lot of them were like me creating understandable ways of what he said as well. And it was really funny because I was able to take some of my quotes and match them up to some of his quotes. And it was really funny. Okay. You have to see it to understand it, but I thought it was really entertaining. But what Warren Buffett says is you can't borrow money at 18 or 20% and come out ahead. Direct quote. You cannot borrow money at 18 to 20% and come out ahead. You just can't. You can't. And so he goes on to say, and this is why I'm starting with him, because he is the pro, he is the professional, and this is what he has to say about paying off credit cards versus investing. And he says, if I owed any money at 18%, the first thing I'd do with any money I had would be to pay it off. To pay it off. Number one thing, it's going to be way better than any investment idea I've got. Okay, now let me put this into perspective, okay? Every month, I benchmark all my investment accounts. So I do not put all my eggs in one basket. I have my trading account, I have my robo-advisor account, I have my financial advisor, okay? So I have money, I'm like a squirrel. I have money invested all over the place, but what I do every single month is I benchmark. And what does that mean? Benchmarking is when you compare the return. So the percent return. So if you think of it, your return and your yield is what you receive from the percent you receive from your investments. Okay. The interest rate, right, is the percentage you pay to your credit cards. Okay. So really quickly, in my benchmarking last month, my robo-advisor had a 10% return, 10% return. And that's actually pretty good because the high yield savings accounts, guess what that return is? 0.6%. High yield savings account, 0.6%. Not even 1% return, ladies, not even 1%. Okay, so a 10% return is pretty darn good, okay? My financial advisor, right? 16% return, 16% return. Okay. When I saw that, I was like, okay, I'm going to be putting more money to my financial advisor than my robo-advisor, right? So when you see these returns, then you can kind of like decide where you want to put your monies, right? Okay. 16%. And then my personal trading account, right? 19% return. Okay. Now, I am actively trading it myself, and I put a lot of time and effort into it. So I treat it like a full-time job. Okay. So if we have these types of returns, so just take my trading account out of it, right? The 19%. And we're looking at the 10% and the 14%, right? I'm sorry, it was 14 or 16. I cannot remember, but right in that ballpark. Okay. So if you have a 10% return and a 14% return, but your credit card interest is 17 or 22, right? You're not going to be able to cover. You can't. And there's volatility. It goes up and down, up and down, up and down, right? Sometimes you lose money. So I have had people say, well, I'm just going to trade and make money and pay off my credit cards. That's not how it works. It's when you treat it like that, it's like Vegas, trying to gamble to make money, and you just get further and further into debt. There's no easy way to make, like, if it's easy, then everyone would be doing it, right?
Right.
So,
but the temptation is so, I mean, I definitely see it strong, like whether it was the game, the GameStop and I think we talked about that at the panel, like this idea that, you could
easy money,
quick money. Yeah. I think it's tempting, especially when you're feeling a little desperate, right?
Yes. And it's interesting because I actually, so I'm on Tuesday, I'm holding a how to talk investing with your teens for parents. And one of the things that we're covering in that is the social media scams. So it's called it's the pump and dumps basically of yesteryear. It's when, hey, I heard this great tip on this stock, the water fountain, water cooler talk, you know what I mean? We don't really have that anymore. It's now the social media, but basically what a pump and dump is where these people will go out on social media and say, oh, it's such a great buy, it's such a great buy, it's such a great buy. And people don't know any different. They don't do their research, and then they buy, and then the stock immediately goes down, because what the other people are trying to do is get people to buy it to make the stock price go out. They sell it, and then the price goes down. So there's all these scams and whatnot. So you really have to be able to do your research. And in this how to talk investing with your teens, it's how to identify what the scams are, and the five questions that you can ask yourself to see if it's a scam. So that's something that we're talking about on Tuesday, is how to identify scams on social media as well. That's part of the how to talk investing with your teen class. Okay, again, I went down a rabbit hole. I got a little sidetracked here. But I'm having fun. If you guys are having fun, then I'm fine with it. But if you want me to just come back to here, let's just be like, Jessica, come back.
No, this is great. I think if you're, and I think that's a really great class. I'm excited to hear you're offering that.
I'm really excited too. It's fun. It's really fun. Okay. So did I answer everyone's question? Does everyone realize it's so much better of an idea to pay off your credit card debt before you start investing, right? Is there any questions on that whatsoever? Okay, perfect. Okay, now we're going to move on. What? Say again?
Oh, I was saying no questions.
Oh, good. Okay. So I can only budget $20 a week. Can I still invest? What do you guys think? Can you invest on $20 a week? Well, Megan, you kind of know this stuff already, so don't look at Megan. Block her, her video. Yeah, there.
I'll recuse myself.
Kate.
I'm saying yes.
Okay. Terry, what do you think?
I'm going to go with yes again.
Yes. Ding, 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 ding. You all get gold stars. Yay. Okay. So, Megan and I talked about the democratization. Did I even pronounce that right? Democratization. There we go. Democratization of investing. Now, investing used to be for the affluent, right? You could only go to a financial advisor if you had $5,000 minimum sometimes to invest. Sometimes $100,000, sometimes $200,000, right? So if you were someone that, just had $500 and wanted to invest, investing was out of your league, right? You could go to the brokers, but you still had to pay commissions on those trades, those self-directed trades. So, actually Robinhood did everyone a really huge favor. I'm sure everyone's heard about the trading platform Robinhood, but they were the first one to do free trades. So that was the beginning of, all the brokerage houses allowing people to trade basically for free. So you can open up an account and you can start trading with like $50, right? You can do that. You can do that. Is it a good idea? Well, there are questions that you need to ask yourself about, the different types of accounts out there and which ones are the best for you. And I actually talk about this more in depth in my before investing class. And where we go into the different types of accounts out there, the pros and cons of them, and what potentially is the best fit for your strategy and your comfort level. But moving on, the robo advisors are really super amazing because they allow you to have a financial advisor type service for sometimes zero minimums. And there's another aspect, it's called micro investing. And micro investing is investing in super small increments by buying fractions of shares, right? So there's an app out there, it's called Acorns. Let me see where I am. Yep. It's called Acorns. And actually Acorns return though is not, and this is why I benchmark. I also benchmark so that I can come back to you guys and say, look, this app is performing this way for me. This app is performing this way for me. And this is where I'm seeing my best returns. So I will tell you that my Acorn account does not have as good of a return as my Wealthfront account. My Wealthfront account has I believe it's a $500 minimum. Actually, let me just look that up right now. They may have decreased it because Betterment actually has a 0 minimum. So let me just look here at the minimums here. Invest. Is there a minimum? How about this? Oh, there is. Is there a minimum? Is there a minimum? Because these things change so often. So when I looked last time, it was $500 minimum to invest in Wealthfront. And the last time I looked, it was a 0 minimum for Betterment, which is a comparable robo-advisor. And also Acorns is like a $5 minimum. Like it's crazy. So just look at the minimums first and find the minimum that's the best for you. But what I found in my accounts was that my Acorns the returns on that was not as good as my Wealthfront account. So sometimes also, it's a great way to start, but once you start seeing monies in that account, and once you get used to committing to an amount, because that's really half the battle, is just committing to an amount, saying, I'm going to put that $5 every single week into my investment account. And if that's an Acorns, then that's great. That's a start. I didn't start running marathons, right? I started by putting on sneakers. And then I got to the marathon, right? And the same things with investing. You just need to start, even if it's just like $5. And then you'll start seeing that grow. And then you'll get addicted. You'll be like, oh, I want to put more money away. I want to put more money away. And then you'll start being like, oh, maybe I won't buy that extra pillowcase cushion. I'm going to go and put that in my investing account and watch it grow, right? And that's how it starts. That's how it starts. Okay. Questions on robo-advisor. I mean, there is a lot of questions on robo-advisors and whatnot. We do go more in depth in my classes for that, but like this concept of, yes, you can invest in the markets with, not a lot of money. And that's really what I want women to know, is that they can do it. It's no longer for the wealthy alone, right? Yes, Kate. You're muted.
Yeah, it was not allowing. Sometimes you can push the space bar and unmute. It was not allowing me to do that. And I just lost my train of thought. Oh, yes. Which is indicative of my question as well. Is it ever too late to start investing? Like if you're hoping for sort of longish term growth, how does age affect your investing strategy?
Okay. So if you are older, right? there are two schools of thought. So,
Define older.
okay. Well, that's a question, right?
Right.
Oh, I'm gonna get myself in trouble.
Well, I mean, I think it's like, I ask it because women live longer, and we,
That's true.
we tend to outlive our partners.
Right.
And we're all
And-
working longer too.
Exactly.
Yes. Okay. So financial advisors and robo-advisors actually ask this question when they are putting together the type of investments they're going to invest your monies into. Right? So they ask you how soon you're going to retire. They do. They ask you that. And then depending on those questionnaires, they put it into a mix that is less risky versus risky, right? So if you are just starting in the workforce, you are not going to retire for like 40 years, right? Then they're going to put it in a more risky but higher return, right? A higher return mix. Whereas if you are closer to retirement, they're going to put it in a safer, lower return mix. Okay. So if that's the case, if you are close, how about this? Let's not say old, close to retirement versus far from retirement. How about that? Do you like that terminology? Right? Okay. Because I'm closer to retirement than a 20-year-old, but I don't feel older than a 20-year-old. So don't mind me on that one. But so let's use those terminology. Okay. So if you are closer to retirement, then use a robo-advisor or financial advisor, right? And they will put it in the right mix. Because if you are doing if you are doing self-directed trading, that's going to be riskier. That is going to be riskier. And if you treat it like Vegas money and I just want to dabble and I want to learn and this is my Vegas, it's like the craps table, then of course do it, learn, have fun with it, whatnot, it's once you get the hang of it, you can start making money, right? But there is a lot of risk associated with trading. There is. So if you are closer to retirement and you are counting on this money for retirement, right? You would go to like a robo-advisor or a financial advisor, and they put it in the type of account that is better suited for when duration, right? When you're going to take those monies out. Yeah. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice here. Okay, those are really great questions. I love them. I hope I'm answering them well. Okay, good. Okay, and moving on here. Speaking of financial advisors, a lot of people have financial advisors, or their husband talks to the financial advisor or chose the financial advisor, right? And the women are like, I don't know his phone number. I don't even know his name. I'm not even sure where this investment account is, but I want to start being part of this process, right? So what are some what are some icebreakers you can use to actually pick up the phone and call your financial advisor? So that's what I did. I created some questions here that you can actually pick up the phone and ask your financial advisor. So you can start the conversation. Okay. So the first one is, and this is very much along with what we were talking about, duration, right? Where you are in your life, because a lot of people will open these, 401ks or whatnot very early in life, and their life has changed. Their situation has changed. So the first question that you can ask your financial advisor is, what is my risk score or investment objective? What is that? What do you have me down for? Because what do you have us down for? Me and my husband, what do you have us down for in our investment account, right? Because everybody fills out the form, whether you remember it or not, when they open up these accounts, and everyone has a risk score or investment objective assigned to them. Okay. And by revisiting this with your financial advisor, you're opening up the conversation. And it is there's no right or wrong. You don't have to feel like, he's going to come back with these answers that you can't understand. No, it's just a dialogue about you and where you are, and is your money in the right investment vehicle for your life stage. And that goes into part 2 of this question, which is, do you think that it is still accurate for my life stage? Right? Is it still accurate for where I am right now in my life? And what's interesting is I actually, on one of the very first workshops I did about, the before investing, workshops, I had a very lovely lady, and I told her my questions for the financial advisor, and she's like, I'm going to do this tomorrow. And so she did. She picked up the phone and she called her financial advisor and asked these questions. And she goes, Jessica, thank you so much. We had such a great conversation. I was in the wrong investment vehicles, and now I'm in the right ones. Thank you so much. Just like having these dialogues. Women don't know that they can just pick up the phone and have these conversations, and they're not scary, right? We think that the financial advisor is so scary, and we don't want to look dumb when we pick up the phone and we talk to them. But you know what? They're there for you. They are
right. It's a service.
You absolutely. Right. It is, and they're getting commissions for servicing you. So if you are not calling them up, and using them for, I don't want to use the, utilizing, there we go, utilizing, not using, but utilizing them, then you're wasting money. You really are. You're wasting money. Okay. Any questions on the first question that you can ask your financial advisor? Anyone? Okay. So, recommendations for finding a financial advisor. Okay. This is actually an interesting one. And I was looking for a database so I could recommend, but there isn't one. It's so hard to find a financial advisor. So I have like 3 suggestions. Ask your friends, ask your female friends, not male friends, ask your female friends who they use and do they love them? And what's interesting is that I have talked to quite a few females that were like, my financial advisor is awesome. He talks to me, he calls me, he is so approachable. And that's the type of financial advisor you're looking for. You're looking for an approachable financial advisor. So that's number 1, ask your friends. Number 2, interview them. Interview them like you would a spouse. No joke, you know what I mean? Or an employee. Make appointments to meet with multiple ones and see who you like the best. Who is demeaning and talking down at you, or who's having the conversation and teaching you as you go. Now, I'm going to equate this to another example, okay? So the other week, my heating system was like, it was freezing in my house when I got back from Pittsburgh. I'm like, holy guacamole, I knew nothing about the heating system, right? But I had, and you never know with fix-it guys. They either talk down to you, right? Or they really take care of you and really explain it, right? So thank goodness the guy that showed up was like, explained everything to me, so I understood it. And that's sort of like what you're looking for in a financial advisor. You're looking for someone that you're paying them in commissions, whether you know it or not. Just by giving them money, you are paying them in commissions, right? So it's like the customer is always right. You are right. Okay. You are right to ask questions. So if they are talking down to you, next, right? You want someone that takes the time to actually answer your questions. Okay.
I am so happy that you said that, because the company that I work for, we have access to financial advisors.
Yes.
And when I bought my house, which was about 5 years ago, I really wanted to make sure I was doing everything correctly and, everything like that. And it was the worst experience ever. He was talking down to me. There was a lot of
I'm so sorry,
mansplaination
Terry.
going
That's
on.
the worst.
Yes.
It is. And I was so, because, buying a house is frantic already.
Yes.
So you don't need some bro, if I can be
Yeah,
honest, like talking to you like you're an idiot.
absolutely.
So at the end of our time together, I ended up coming completely out of character and telling him exactly what I thought about him. And so
Good for you. I love that.
How did
I
how did
love
he
that.
respond? How did he respond, Terry? I'm curious.
he was shocked because, as you can tell, I know I don't have my camera on, but that's because I'm working from home and I don't have any kind of look on today. So, but
That makes two of us.
yeah, you look lovely. But normally, my voice says it all. Pretty happy, pretty bubbly, no problem. But I completely changed and shut him all the way down. And he was very shocked and very quiet and then apologized.
Good for
And
you.
yeah, so when you said to work with a financial advisor, I said to myself, I was like, oh boy, here we go again. But the fact that it never occurred to me to interview them, because I just thought you get what you get, and that's, but they're being involved in so much of your personal business. It only makes sense to work with someone that you like.
Absolutely.
So when you said that, I was like, oh yeah, well, I wish I would have known that. So I absolutely will do it again.
Yes, for sure. You really should. You should.
Yeah.
And people don't, you're absolutely right. People don't know that. It's like a concept that is foreign. And even to me, and another part of my teen class, like how to talk investing with your teen, one of them is take your teen on a field trip to your financial advisor, especially the females, so that they realize these people are not scary. And they see that it's like the lawyer and the family lawyer, or, growing up, I did not have a family lawyer, but now, it seems like we have family lawyers, we have financial advisors, whatever. But I didn't have any of these things growing up, and they were scary to me. The first time I went to a lawyer, you know when it was? For my prenup. And I was so scared, I was shaking and I cried. And it just because, I had never interacted with a lawyer before. And it was scary to me. And people feel the same way about financial advisors, but it's not scary. So if we can start teaching our girls at a young age that financial advisors are not scary and they're actually there to help you in your life stages, then we are empowering them just by taking them on a field trip, a simple field trip like that. So that was another tip that I have. And should you come back for, one of my how to talk investing to your teen, the parenting workshops, you'll hear more about tips like this that you can do. Okay, again, oh my goodness, we only have 2 minutes left. Let me just rush through this. I'm so sorry. Okay, so we have 2 more questions and I'll just go through them really quickly. Okay, so what is my return from last year and so far this year? Yeah, what is my return? What is my return? So I do this on a monthly basis. So I call it my benchmarking, but what they will do is that they will automatically get on the defense. They will automatically get on the defense when you ask this question, and they will start spewing all the reasons why it is performing that way. And you don't have to say anything, you just listen. You just listen. You don't have to say anything. You just listen, right? Yeah. And just pretend that you understand what he's saying. But he's on the defense, so he's not going to ask you any more questions, right? So that is the question here. He or she, I should say, he or she, they. I will use they, okay, he or she. My financial advisor is a female, and she's amazing. She is. So far this year, okay, so there's 2 benchmarks. There's last year, so like 2020, right? The return for 2020, and year to date would be from January until now. Okay, so that would be year to date. So in layman's term, it says, how is my return so far this year? So fancy is year to date, if you remember that. But layman's term, it means the same thing. So far this year, how am I doing? That's all you gotta say, right? If you can't remember the word return, just say, how's my account doing this year? How's it doing last year? That's all you gotta say, right? So there we go. Okay, so next time is, what are your fees and how much do I pay a year? Right? how much are your fees and how much do I pay a year? And then you can go and look at some of these robo-advisors, right? And you can see how much they charge for their retirement accounts and investment accounts as well. So that's the other thing about investing. It's about, there are all these types of ways to put your money out there, and you should try different things, because not only are you diversifying with an account, you are diversifying accounts, right? And different accounts have different performances as well. And that's why benchmarking is so important. Okay, so in finishing, thank you for attending. I hope you really super appreciate it. As a thank you for attending, I'll be sending you the Her Investing IQs fun quiz. This is like a Cosmos style fun, what's your investing IQ quiz. So I'll be sending that to you. And I'll also be sending you the identifying investment worksheet. So the identifying investment worksheet is something that I have the ladies have. That's not proper English. So sorry, I'm tripping over my own tongue. So for my weekly show, I talk about different stocks out there, not necessarily to invest in, but just to start thinking about the world in terms of stocks, okay? So we are, quote unquote, identifying investments in our everyday life. So with this sheet, when you hear of a stock and you're like, oh, I believe in that stock, I really like that stock, I want to research it more, you add it to your identifying investments worksheet. And over time, this becomes your focus list. And I myself have my focus list. I have 2 stocks that I invest in and I watch, and I know everything about. I know all news about. I know all the stock moves, price moves in it. And even like hedge funds, Wall Street traders, everyone has their focus list. So really what it is giving you the foundation, right? It's giving you the foundation so that you can make the next steps to investing and trading. So that's the identifying investments worksheet. You have it handy for my shows, and you can like start filling it out and start thinking about the stocks and companies and products that you believe in, okay? So how do you get involved? So you come to my Her Investing Coffee Talk show. It's on Facebook on Thursdays. I will be branching out to more social networks to broadcast them in the near future. But for right now, it's every Thursday morning at 10 a.m. And it's like a half an hour. And I put recordings up, so they're really fun. I was talking about drinking too much and taking Ubers home from holiday parties this past week. So we make it fun. We make it fun. And Terry, you can attest, I make this fun, right? So
I agree. And I definitely will be joining.
Oh, thank
Awesome.
you. Thank you so much. And it's fun because there's also the chat going. So you see all the ladies like chatting on the side about it too. It's just a fun time. It really is. And people feel smarter afterwards. So as opposed to like, whatever, like a hair, show or nail show, whatever it is, you typically watch, you can have fun and get smarter at the same time. I do have my classes schedule on herfiniq.com for both women and for teen girls. So definitely check those out. Usually where people start is the before investing class, which talks about a lot of the things that we covered today, so that you have a better idea of where you're going to start off in your investing journey. And then I have all sorts of free workshops through great organizations. So definitely check out my free workshops that I have going. I also have the parenting workshops. I have the women's workshops, and they're all completely free. Come as many times as you want. And then follow me on Instagram and on Facebook. I do put out fun posts on those as well. I have some inspiration posts. I have, like whenever I'm thinking about something, I'll go out with like a video or whatnot. So definitely follow me on Instagram and on Facebook as well.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you guys.
Thank you so much
me.
for a lively, engaging discussion. I'm going to hit stop on the recording now. Hopefully that gives folks enough time to copy down those get involved notes. I will stop the recording.